We've got a beautiful weekend coming up, and the avalanche danger has trended down to moderate since our last storm on Wednesday. However, we have concerns that you can trigger a large or even very large avalanche this weekend, so let's try and get up to speed on the snowpack. Disclaimer, there's going to be a few graphs which might go down smoother with a Guinness in hand. Our snowpack has been climbing steadily since Christmas, with only short-lived lulls between storms. That's an ideal setup for keeping well-developed weak layers from forming. So, our weak layers aren't as bad as a normal winter here, but small-grained facets have formed during the short dry spells, or flat lines in this curve, during the last few months. Our most recent dry spells were the days leading up to our major storm on March 10th and 11th, as well as earlier this week. Our first dry spell in March was accompanied by extreme winds, which prevented weak layer formation except in sheltered terrain, and those weak layers were most developed in our shallow zone, like we highlighted in our last video. Yesterday we got evidence of that interface being an issue in our deeper zone as well, because a large natural broke in the anthracites and two similar slides were triggered in marble. These issues appear to be most pronounced on the bow tie aspects, easterly and westerly, where there is a thin crust associated with faceting. If we filter this week's activity by old failures, we can see persistent slab activity that failed on the March 10th interface. Of course, there are only a few data points, and signs of instability or unstable test results have been infrequent, so we have more uncertainty with this distribution than we normally do early season. In the Southeast Mountains, we've seen more activity in the past month involving deeper weak layers on other aspects, so our distribution rose is broader. Those older layers appear to be more of an isolated issue now. Our most recent storm buried the same facet crust issues, and slopes where slabs formed over these layers have been more reactive after the storm ended, like this triggered avalanche on Axtell. You'll also have to manage for lingering storm slab instabilities and wet loose avalanches developing on sun-baked slopes this weekend. We have yet another atmospheric river coming up next week, and we can expect these layers to misbehave again. Even relatively strong snowpacks have a breaking point, and our snowpack has been getting put to the test in March, with up to 4 inches of SWE last week and another few inches of SWE coming this week. When we get big loading events and subsequent warm-ups, expect unusual things to happen.